guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sneha and I have no clue what this video is going to be about. I wanted to film kind of like a chatty live kind of video because I've never really done that, and honestly, very honestly, that scares me. The internet is a place that I'm scared to put out my personal private side on, my personal opinions on, because it just feels like it's like a vast ocean of people with opinions of things, and I'm just like one tiny little droplet, and that intimidates me. But whenever I do put out something personal to me, whenever I do put out something private to me, either on Instagram or on my blog, which rarely happens, but I always get such a huge wave of empathy, of love, of affection, and I want to extend that to YouTube as well, even though that scares me. But here's to New Year resolutions of taking fears head on. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm just gonna be sitting here. I'm going to be chatting about what's been up, what I've been reading, what I have been doing, and let's see how that turns out. Start with what I've been reading. Surprisingly for me, I've been reading 2 physical books, which rarely happens. I'm usually the reader who finishes one book first and then moves on to the other. I usually have one book which I'm reading and one book that I'm listening to an audiobook when I'm, going out for a walk, or I'm doing some chores around the house and things like that. But for now, I have 2 books which I'm currently actually physically reading. Let's talk about them briefly, shall we? The first book is a fiction book, and it is Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. I read All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr a couple of years ago and absolutely fell in love with his writing, with his storytelling, with just his characters in general. No surprise, that book won him the Pulitzer Prize, and this is his latest release. This was released in 2021, towards the later half of 2021. So for once, I'm not reading a backlist book. Cloud Cuckoo Land is kind of like this sweeping tale. It is historical fiction, science fiction, sort of contemporary fiction. It just covers generations and different characters, but they're all bound by this one ancient text that enamors each and every one of them. And it also has this common theme of libraries and librarians who introduce people to this wonderful world of Greek tales, of Greek mythology, of just stories in general. I am about 480 pages into this, and this is a 630 pages book if I'm not wrong, so I have a little over 150 plus pages to go. Maybe I'll finish this today, I don't know, because it is a Sunday, so let's see. But I'm really enjoying it. I love getting immersed in stories like this where there's so many characters, there's just so many dots to connect, and it's so much fun. So there's this one ancient text that has been translated, and that story enamels all these different characters. So it's very, for me at least, in my mind, to just chart out the journey of this text and how it has evolved from from being found in the ruins of Constantinople to finally getting into the hands of somebody who's escaping Constantinople as it is being as it is being sieged by the Ottoman Empire. Then how it gets into the hands of somebody in Idaho who ends up translating it because he is enamored by the Greek text when he was in the Korean War, and he meets a British guy who teaches the Greek text. Then from there, how it goes on to the hands of all these different characters in the current world and how they interpret the text. And then we take a leap forward into the science fiction world where the Earth is no longer a planet where we are on. We are on a spaceship in the middle of the galaxy as we are going in search of a different planet. But this ancient text is still something that ties a very pivotal, very important character to the whole story. So I just love weaving stories like that, and for me it's a lot of fun to read stories like that. So really enjoying this. Anthony Doerr just has this ability to write a story where you can delve into it so deeply, you don't need anything else. You're just in the story, you're just enjoying the moment, and I'm doing that. I'm really enjoying it. The other book is a non-fiction book. Since it is the new year, I am back to my resolutions to read more non-fiction, and hopefully this year that does get achieved. The very first book that I wanted to read was this one, Coming Out as Dalit by Miss Yashika Dutt. Had this book for a couple of months. I was supposed to do a read along for it in November. That didn't end up happening, but I wanted to make sure that I do it for January. So there is an Instagram book club sort of, which is doing a reading of this, and we'll probably discuss it in the second week of February. And I have been interested in this subject for the last few years. So if you don't know, there is a very prevalent caste system in India, where there are a few uh, classes, there are a few castes which are deemed to be lower caste, and there are a few castes which are deemed to be the upper caste. The lower caste has representations in government, in universities, in a lot of jobs as part of the reservation quota, which is such a highly debated topic right now, because people think, upper caste people think, that the reservation system is not worth it anymore. I personally think that in order to undo the generations of marginalization that has happened with this particular class of people, reservations still play a very important factor in giving them a leg up. But quite apart from reservations, there's just so many problems in today's society in India because of the caste system. And I've always wanted to read more about it, understand more about it, just learn more about it. So Miss Yashika Dutt was somebody who was passing off as upper caste for most of her life, until one incident, one student suicide of a Dalit student suicide, Mr. Rohit Vemula charged her to take action, where she comes out as Dalit on a public platform. And then she has written this book a few years ago, where she's talked about her journey, about her family's journey, as well as the journey of a lot of other people who she's met throughout her life. She's also done a brilliant job in kind of tracing back the origins of the caste system, about how it's still affecting people today in today's world, about how the British actually played a huge role in propagating the caste system as well. So there's so much to learn, and I'm just reading and I'm just learning. As you can see, I'm annotating it as well, and I'm just listening, I'm just learning. And I hope that after reading this, I want to delve more into the sociology books of India, which just explain so many things that I've just taken as granted through my life. The caste system, the religions of India, just the society of today that exists in my country today, I've just taken a lot for granted throughout my life, and I feel that's very ignorant, and I want to just learn more and change my thinking a little bit. So those are the two physical books that I'm reading, and I also just started listening to The House of Gucci. This is an audiobook that I'm listening to on Script. It was sold to me as a murder mystery about how the scion of the Gucci dynasty was found murdered in his office early one day, but now it's taken into a different shift of trying to explain the business of Gucci, the history of Gucci, how it started, the family that started it, how it eventually got out of the hands of the family. But I'm finding it really, really interesting. There's now something about an Italian family with all their drama, with all their, gusto and the business sense. It's so interesting to listen to this book, and I'm really enjoying that as well. So yeah, those are the books that I'm currently reading. January so far has been a slow-ish start to reading for me. I've read 3 other books so far. I've read Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Really enjoyed that. I read The Burning God by Arif Kwong, which is the 3rd book in the Poppy War. Amazing. Oh my god, it broke my heart. And the other book that I finished, which I actually started in December, was The Lincoln Highway by Robert Tolles? Who wrote it? Amor Tolles, I'm sorry, which I felt was average, but the other 2 books I really enjoyed. So it's a slow start, but it's a great start so far, because both these books also I would definitely rate 5 stars, I think. So yeah, that's been up. My January, as soon as January started off, it was a little bit of a weird month, because my husband fell sick and he was positive for COVID-19. Thankfully, he had very minor symptoms. He just had a cold, he had a little bit of fever, but he was isolating for a week. I continued to test negative, even though I tested twice, so I never got the virus, but I think I had some kind of like a minor variant of it, because I was feeling off. I had a bad headache, I had a little bit of a temperature for a day, but mostly I had like this really bad headache. So yeah, that's how the first few weeks of Jan went by, and then work started to heat up, because this is like the busy season for my job, and this is the first time I'm doing it, so it's even more hectic and stressful and tensed and all of that. So it's been a tough month. Usually Jan for me is such a joyous month, because first month of the year, everything feels bright and new and fresh, and everything is jolly. Like everybody has such fresh intentions in January, I think, which slowly degrade as the coming months come. But I just usually love January, and this time around it feels so gloomy. And thanks to Omicron, we are currently dealing with a lot of COVID-19 cases in India once again. Thankfully, this time it doesn't. I'm just gonna touch wood. It doesn't seem to be as bad as the second wave that we had last year, but still, it feels like we are stuck in a cycle and there's just no way out. Like as soon as we start to kind of resume normal life, because we had started to go back to office, we had started to move around a lot more than previously, of course wearing a mask, of course trying to maintain social distancing. But I think the most important part of that for me was going back to physical office, because I am somebody who learns from people as they are doing something, and because I'm kind of like still in a transition role, still, like it's been so many months and I'm still in a transition role. And I think the biggest reason why it's taking me so long is because we are in a remote learning environment. I've broken down so many times over the past few months. It's been very tough, I'm not gonna lie, and I felt like things were finally getting back on track because we were getting back to office. I thrive in the feeling of working in a team, working towards a common problem, working towards a common solution physically, like physically being surrounded by these people. And now it's like we've taken like 10,000 steps back and we're back in the same situation. We've gone back to work from home. I understand why that's important, of course, but yeah, it just feels like we're stuck in the same cycle. There's no getting out of it. And yeah, that's frustrating to say the least. Usually I am also really happy for January to come because it is my birthday month. This year I'm turning 27 on the 28th of January. And I'm recently realized that next year it'll be 28 on the 28th. So hopefully I'll get to do something special then. But this year I have nothing, no plans. I'm someone who gets excited for my birthday like until the week before my birthday comes, and then after that I'm a little bit anticlimactic towards my birthday, but the lead up to it is always fun for me. But this time around I don't have the same like lightness in me as usual. I did buy a few books. I was good at sticking to my budget, and I didn't buy books that just to add to my collection like crazy. I bought a few books that I've been wanting for quite a few times, which are more special. They're not like books that I want to read, the books like I want to refer to, kind of. And there were some that I added to my collection as well. I don't want to do a separate book haul on them because like I said, I'm a little tired of the book hauls that I've been putting out recently. And though they do get a great response, I don't want my channel to be just that. But let me show you the few special books that I've acquired for my birthday. Two of those kind of like reference books that I bought. The first one is Ex Libris, 100 plus books to read and reread by Miss Michiko Kakutani. She is a Pulitzer Prize winning literary critic, and in this book she talks about 100 plus books that according to her are the greatest texts in the world that one should read and reread always. I've seen this book on a lot of people's shelves and it just looks so pretty. I actually thought it was bigger than this, but it's actually a nice little compact volume. Like I said, she talks about 100 plus books that you have to read, and as I was flicking through the index, I marked out what I've read so far, and I've read like 6, now 7th, because I finished Frankenstein in 2022. So it's one of my reading resolutions this year to like slowly make my way through everything that she's written in this particular tome, and yeah, hopefully enjoy them as much as Miss Michiko Kakutani also enjoys them. And this particular book occupies pride position on my bookshelf because it's just so pretty. Another similar book, similarly named, is called Ex Libris, Confessions of a Common Reader. This is by Anne Fadiman, and this is also a tiny little volume. This is a collection of essays where the author talks about the bibliophiles. It's a celebration of bibliophiles, apparently, about how she feels about books, about reading, about buying books and things like that. And like I said, I love reading things about books these days, and I'm on a journey to collect more of them. And when I was searching for this book, this turned up in the search bar, and it just looked so interesting and sounded very interesting, so I bought it. And very happy to have these on my shelves. A couple of books I bought to add to my collection of the editions. The first one is A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. This is in a Penguin Deluxe edition. I now have 4 of these 3 and this one. I just love these covers so much. They're like these illustrated editions, front and back, and also the French flap, and they have deckled edges. I just love the look of these, and I wanted to add one more to my collection, so I went with this one because I've heard a lot about this classic and I do want to get to it eventually. Another one I had added was An Artist of the Floating World by Mr. Kazuo Ishiguro. Ishiguro is a writer that I absolutely love reading. His backlist, very specifically, his recent book was average in my opinion, but I want to read more and more and more of him, and this is in the Penguin Drop Cap editions. So it's like it's a collection of books which is printed from A to Z of the author's last name. So I have one of Amy Tan, which is T, and now I have I for Ishiguro. It's in this bright fluorescent green color which you can't miss from a million miles. So just really liked the edition, really wanted more of Ishiguro, so hence I bought this as well. So yeah, I did buy a few more books, a couple of recent releases that a couple of them are still on their way to me. I don't want to do an entire book haul because that's precisely what this video is about, that I didn't want to do a book haul. So yeah, what else? I have been more active on my Bookstagram lately. I'll include the link down below in the description box. It's always there actually, so do check it out. I've been posting more about the books that I've read so far in 2022. I still have Frankenstein to post, so hopefully I'll post that soon. I'm also posting more about myself on Instagram. So my Bookstagram is a public account. I do have an alternate account, which is a private account, which is only for my friends and family. On my Bookstagram, for the very first time, you won't believe that I've had the account for a couple of years now, and only in late 2021, like towards the end of 2021, they actually post a picture of myself on my feed, because posting a bit of myself always intimidates me on Instagram, on Bookstagram specifically. But like I said, I've kind of like challenged myself and taken it upon myself to post a little bit more of myself, not just my face, just my thoughts, my fears, my feelings, my opinions, to just kind of tender this notion, to just kind of calm me down from this notion that the internet is not as scary as I think it is, that it really shouldn't intimidate me as much as it actually does. So yeah, I've been posting more about just my thoughts about books, what I think about reading, the kind of books that I usually read, and just musings, I guess. I used to do this a lot more freely when I first started this, but I've stopped. Of course, Instagram penalizes me whenever I post a static post. I lose followers when I post like a static photo, because everything is being pushed towards reels, I guess. This obsession with short form content, YouTube as well now, thanks YouTube. But I do make a few reels here and there, but just feel so out of place making them. Like I don't have the technical capabilities to shoot these beautiful aesthetic reels, I think, but I do have an idea about kind of making like book talk kind of videos. We don't have TikTok in India, by the way. It's banned because instead of taking real action against infiltrators, we do stuff like this, banning Chinese apps. But anyway, that's a different rant for a different time. So we don't have TikTok in India, so the only like comparable big large scale thing that we have is Instagram reels. But people don't really post like book talk kind of videos, like where they're just talking about a book, like talking. Reels is full of like in aesthetic looking short form videos. I feel like maybe I'll do like book talk kind of videos. I don't know. Does it sound fun for you? Anybody listening out here? Do let me know in the comments. Got you up on a lot of things in this video, I think. What am I reading? A few books that I bought, just life in general. I hope to make more of these chatty kind of videos in the future. Do let me know if you like them. And if you managed to stick this far into the video, thank you so much. It means the entire world to me. Do like, share, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you very soon. Bye.